The Sword and the Story. Tipu Sultan's First Battle, Part 2. The Night Strike, when silence became the roar of resistance. Previously on YBR The Sword and the Story, we witnessed a young Tipu Sultan take his first bold step into the battlefield of Porto Novo. With courage far greater than his years, Tipu led a dual-flank assault on the British forces, disrupting their formation and demolishing their artillery. General Erkut, surprised by the brilliant maneuvers of this inexperienced prince, retreated temporarily, seething with frustration and vengeance. But Tipu knew well, a wounded enemy returns stronger. The real war had only just begun. The field of Porto Novo was eerily quiet after the first clash, yet beneath that silence brewed a storm. The British, humiliated by their initial defeat, began plotting a new and more insidious attack. Not from the front, but from the shadows. General Erkut, refusing to accept defeat at the hands of a teenage prince, devised a daring counter-strategy. Under the veil of night, he dispatched a special force of 2,000 men. Their mission was not to face Tipu's army directly, but to destroy the supply lines feeding the Mysorean forces from the rear. A strike on food and water would weaken the heart of Tipu's resistance without another major battle. But Tipu Sultan was no ordinary commander. He understood war not just as a clash of swords, but as a game of intellect. Anticipating that the British would attempt something unexpected, he had already stationed scouts and mounted guards throughout the nearby hills and mountain passes. These men, trained to blend with the night like panthers, watched every flicker of movement. As the British units snaked through the rugged mountain trails, they believed they were ghosts, unseen, unheard, but they were already being tracked. Tipu received news of the enemy's movement before midnight. Without wasting a breath, he mounted his horse and rode out with an elite band of cavalry known as the Babar unit, fearless warriors trained for fast, precise, and brutal ambushes. In the third watch of the night, just as the British forces began descending from the hills to strike at the Mysorean supply depots, the first gleam of a steel spear sliced through the air and pierced their commander's armor. The mountain exploded in chaos. From behind boulders, tree lines, and ridges, Tipu's warriors emerged like shadows with fire in their eyes. They were outnumbered, yet swift and focused. Steel clashed with steel, and the silence of the night was broken by the cry of battle and thunder in the sky. In the heart of the fray was Tipu Sultan himself, not sitting in a safe tent, but fighting shoulder to shoulder with his men. He was swift as lightning, and every swing of his sword was a declaration, "This is my land, you will not take it." The British soldiers, trained in formation-based warfare, quickly lost their bearings in the narrow and uneven terrain. Cut off from reinforcements and unfamiliar with the territory, panic set in. Horses slipped, muskets misfired, and in their desperation they scattered. By dawn, the trail was littered with broken sabers and fallen redcoats. Tipu stood atop a ridge, his clothes dusted with blood and soil, his sword still gleaming. He looked at the rising sun and whispered, "Another night, another lesson." He had not only defended his lifeline, he had struck fear into the heart of an empire. Back in Mysore, the people lit lamps in their homes, not in celebration, but in pride. The boy they once saw ride through the palace courtyards was now a lion who roared in the battlefield. Elders declared, "This is not just victory, this is the beginning of resistance." But Tipu did not rest. He gathered his generals and said, "The enemy will strike again, but now we hold the advantage. Let's not wait. Let's end this." What do you think of Tipu Sultan's decision to lead the ambush himself instead of delegating the task? Would a modern-day leader have done the same? If this story lit a fire in your heart, don't forget to like, share, and comment below. Tell us what moment stood out to you the most. Was it the night ambush, Tipu's swordplay, or the people's response? And make sure you subscribe to YBR The Sword and the Story and hit the bell icon so you never miss the next chapter in the Chronicles of History's Bravest. Next time on YBR The Sword and the Story, the final and most decisive battle looms ahead. Tipu Sultan will launch an all-out offensive, a double-layered attack meant to shatter the British Army's spirit once and for all. But will this bold move bring lasting victory or awaken an even more dangerous retaliation? Stay tuned for Part 3, The Final Roar.